Today on Locked On Hawkeyes, Trent Condon, LeShun Daniels with you. We'll talk about LeShun as he is the honorary captain for the matchup against Northwestern. Can the Hawkeyes get the win? They're a big favorite, but looking long term, would cratering be better for this program? And our picks this week brought to you by BetOnline. All coming up on today's Locked On Hawkeyes podcast.
Our Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Back with you on Locked On Hawkeyes. I'm Trent Condon. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen each and every day, wherever you get your podcasts, and also available on YouTube. If you can, hit that subscribe button. Let us know that you are out there and listening. Always a big help, and the people watching on YouTube to give us a little hit there. Today's episode brought to you by Underdog. Sign up at UnderdogFantasy.com with the promo code Locked On. Get your first deposit doubled up to $100. UnderdogFantasy.com. Well, LeShun's going to stop by here in just a little bit. In fact, as we talk here today, he is on his way to Iowa City as he is going to be honored by the football program. Just an incredible honor for him, and so excited about that he's going to get the opportunity to be honored. He'll be out there, go out with the honorary captains, and he will be on the sidelines for the matchup. You know, we've talked to LeShun a little bit in the past too, and hasn't been back to Iowa City much since graduation and since he got his opportunity with the New England Patriots. So really excited for him to get that chance to talk to, of course, the football staff, and maybe we'll get a little more insight afterwards of what exactly is going on inside the football offices there. So got a lot going on there. We will talk with LeShun as he's going to stop by here in just a little bit. But before that, you know, what a week that it was here in Iowa football, dating back to what we saw a week ago, the loss to Ohio State, 54-10, the disappointment of what we saw offensively coming off a bye week. And we've talked about that. We've broken things down, but the way that things have continued from Doug Lesmaurice, who was the columnist with Cleveland.com and the Cleveland Plain Dealer, asking the very pointed questions of Kirk Ferentz. We talked about that portion of it and some of the negativity that certainly was brought at nationally. Now, this was a part of it, national media kind of sticking up for their own. I think you saw plenty of that. Lesmaurice is a guy that is well respected in the college football industry, is a guy that has been connected for a very long time. And because of that, I think there was a lot of people also going to bat. I went back, re-listened to the press conference. I didn't think that it was anything overwhelming. Kirk apologizes for his comments on Tuesday, then doubles down on his radio show. We've gone through and kind of all of these different parts, but I think it goes to show you a couple of different things here. First of all, this Iowa football program, though it's incredibly insulated, the nature of what Iowa does and the way that Kirk Ferentz builds his program is there's not a whole lot of outside noise that gets in. And when it does, with social media, with columnists, with newspaper writers, with people, with message boards and websites or podcasts like we have here today, you know those things do get inside the walls. And not just with the football coaches, but the players. They hear things on the outside. Even as hard as they work to make it this insulated nature, these things get in. And they're batting down the hatches right now. This is going to be us versus the world. We do our things. And that has been the calling card of Kirk Ferentz. I've had some negative things to say this week. I've had some negative things to say this season. I've had some negative things to say in the offseason leading into the year. I was so disappointed in the decision that the football program made to go out and do nothing. For all intents and purposes, they had an opportunity with the retirement of Ken O'Keefe to try something, right? To go out there and try something new, to not reinvent the wheel, because that's never going to happen with Kirk Ferentz. But you looked at the run game last year. But it wasn't just last year. You looked at it over the last 5 years, and you've seen as college football has moved and changed, as rules have changed, the unwillingness to evolve from the Iowa program, and it was a chance at a reset. They didn't do that. Okay. And then, okay, that's all well and good. You're going to be who you are, right? Your DNA is about zone blocking. That's what Kirk has always done. That's what Kirk is always going to do. So, okay, I get that. But then to continue on the route of not doing anything to help out the passing game. It's a passing game that's broke. Go back and watch this team. Not just the 2002 team, the high water mark. or 2004, the last time that Iowa tied for a Big Ten championship that season. Not even those years, but when you had an offense that at least had some semblance of balance in a passing game, not high water marks like against Ohio State in 2017 or the USC bowl game in 2019, not games like that. But look a decade ago and what this offense looked like and wide receivers and the routes that they're running and the things they were doing, that is completely different than what we've seen really over the last 2 or 3 seasons. This passing game is broke. And I apologize. I think I brought it up this week. There was something I saw on Twitter from somebody I respected and didn't hit the like button on it. And because of that, I can't go back and find it now. But just talking about how broken this passing offense is. It's not just that you don't have time to throw because the offensive line's bad and the quarterback play is bad and the wide receivers can't get separations. It's not only that, but it's also schematically how broken this passing game is. And because of all that, that's where we are right now. We are left at this point in time that you're looking at it. You're looking at this and understanding that there are big time problems. There are big time issues happening inside this program in the passing game. Schematics are broken. And you come back from that, not exactly sure. And that's where we are here today. It's a Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. I'm Trent Condon, LeShun Daniels coming up with us here in just a little bit. When we have an opportunity, why don't you tell you about our friends at Underdog Fantasy? It's the easiest place to spice up college football season. Identify players that you want to choose in your pick 'em. Coming up this week, hey, you like the Iowa defense? We always like the Iowa defense, right? You want to do that. You want to take a matchup between the two running backs in Northwestern Iowa? You can do that. Easy to play, available in over 30 states. Just pick between 2 and 5 players on each team, not just your team either, and decide who will finish with a lower or higher total. The easiest fantasy to play games out there. You can win cold, hard cash in a single game. Sign up with promo code Locked On, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Deposit $100, get $100 free. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com or find the Underdog Fantasy app in the App Store, Google Play. That's Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Locked On. All one word, Locked On. Get in on college football pick'em action today. Back with you on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast, and we are joined right now from just outside the football complex by LeShun Daniels as he gets ready, talk to the football team a little bit, and of course, with it, he'll be out there on the field as Iowa takes on Northwestern tomorrow. LeShun, hey, thanks for joining me. Know we're a little tight on time today, but so glad to get you before you get to experience everything. How is it?
I'm definitely excited to. It's been a long while since I've been in, uh, uh, to be around the guys, be around the complex again. Watch football game and and play that Iowa football.
No doubt about it. Going to be a lot of fun. And we got certainly a lot that we'll be able to recap on things with you next week after you go through the experience. So mention you're the honorary captain. You get to go out there before the game for the coin flip. You'll be walking out there, but also you're going to be talking to the team here in just a little bit. So what's your message going to be before you get in there? You got your message ready to go. You know what you're going to say. Are you going to rip your shirt off? You're going to be, what do you got going on to get these guys fired up and get off this losing streak?
Yes, what I'm gonna say. I wrote a bunch of notes, but like who knows? Going along with those notes, just kind of speak on the guys. Just obviously, that really Iowa brand, for the noise and everything. Aside, you obviously know that Iowa football throughout. It's a smart, tough business. Really trying to get that message. Kind of realize like, hey, like, yeah, we have that's happening, outside of that. Like, we can't control what's said, but we can in all these different things. And smart, tough, physical football is going to be a.
Well, hey, LeShun, our connection's a little bit funky, but we're going to let you go. I know you got a big day in front of you. Thanks for hopping on here for a couple of minutes, though. We'll talk next week. We will break everything down. You give us a full recap of everything happening and how Iowa City was, not just with the football team. You're going to hit that nightlife up, right? A little bit.
Yeah. I stop out downtown, just out.
That sounds great. Hey, appreciate it, LeShun.
Yep.
That's LeShun Daniels joining us here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. He'll be back with us next week. How cool, a contributor here to the podcast, and that he's going to be there. Apologies. No, the connection was a little bit funky. He is just getting over to the football complex right now. He's going to be talking to the guys before the game, get to go through, get to hang out, a chance to, of course, see Kirk and everybody else. So a lot of cool stuff there, and we'll have a solid connection next week with LeShun and have an opportunity to recap everything and find out what it was. And hopefully, LeShun, he's the good luck charm this week, and he can bring us back a victory. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen today. For your second listen today, checked out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter to the most and biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. All right, we're wrapping up here, and up again, apologies, LeShun. I know the connection was a little bit funky there. We'll get a full recap of everything next week with him and break things down and break down the game against Northwestern. Yesterday, here on Locked On Hawkeyes, we did a crossover episode with Carter Bird from Locked On Northwestern. Really broke down the game a little bit deeper, and we'll get ready for it. Look, I've given you guys my thoughts this week, and we'll get into our picks here presented by BetOnline. I think you know where I am this week. I don't have a whole lot of confidence that this offense is going to look better. I had some people tell me that anticipate they're going to take any training wheels that they have off this passing offense this week. You anticipate they're going to try to air this thing out. The pass defense is not very good for Northwestern, and I don't know, Custard's last stand. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but you'll see Spencer Petras more than likely. He's going to get the start. He's going to be the guy out there, making the throws, and he's going to be the starting quarterback for the game. I also do wonder how long the leash is going to be for him, how much we're going to get out of that. Ultimately, I got to see it to believe it. And because of that, I'm going to grab the points this weekend with Northwestern. I also played the team total under this week on Iowa, as it was listed at 24.5. So got that part of the equation underway. Want to do something a little bit different since LeShun is getting ready to talk to the team here today, and we don't have him for a full episode. Going to give you all the picks I have coming up this week in college football. I make a ton of picks every week. I'm a degenerate. I love betting college football, and this slate this week is an absolutely beloved one for me. So I got Eastern Michigan this week, plus 7.5. I think they can win the game outright. I got West Virginia this week, plus 8. They host TCU. I believe they can win this game outright. Such a difficult spot. TCU, they have been on 4 consecutive opponents that were ranked going into the matchup. That changes this week against West Virginia. Never an easy place to win. Another underdog I like this week is Oklahoma State. Short price plus 1.5 as they go to Kansas State. Just so tough, and you wonder about the quarterback spot for Kansas State health-wise, where they're going to be. Mentioned I'm on Northwestern this week, plus 11.5 against the Hawkeyes. Another underdog I like this week, Cal, plus 17.5 against Oregon. Hey, sometimes you got to just plug your nose and pick some of these games. That is Cal. Letdown spot for Oregon, obviously coming off the big win a week ago against UCLA. Like Kentucky this week, another underdog as they go to Tennessee. Look ahead spot for the Volunteers as they have Georgia on tap. This Kentucky team, they're different with Chris Rodriguez. They are very, very buttoned up. Mark Stoops, one of the least penalized teams in the country, the opposite for Tennessee, and they can stuff the run. We talk about Hendon Hooker and what he is, certainly as a passer, but remember, Tennessee, the way that they're built, it starts with the run game, and Kentucky does a great job of that. The only favorite I like this week, at least as we sit here on a Friday, South Carolina laying the 4 against Mizzou. I get it. South Carolina last week was quote-unquote lucky to win that game. I think they had a real shot here of going a little bit of run, playing that Beamer ball. Missouri, just so inconsistent this year. I'm willing to lay it with South Carolina. So those are my picks for this week. Just a little bit different way that we're doing it this week. We are out of time. Instant Reaction podcast coming up after the game against Northwestern. Iowa favored by double digits. Do we finally see something out of the offense this week? If there was ever a time to do it, it'd be against this putrid Northwestern defense. An opportunity to get right, to get some positive momentum going into the final month of the season. You got Purdue still on tap, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Nebraska. All 4 of those games are winnable. All 4 of those games are also losable. Got to get it done this week. We will talk about it. Instant reaction after the game against Northwestern, and then be back with you next week. We'll get LeShun. We'll, of course, hear from his experience in Iowa City this week. Congratulations as well to LeShun, honorary captain. So cool. No excited he is to be back at it. That is all coming your way. That'll do it for today. Back with you next week with more. This has been the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast, and thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen. Again, for your next listen, check out Locked On Sports Today. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. Go Hawks, let's get a win this week. We'll talk to you next week after the Iowa Northwestern game.